Yes, indeed. And look who's back over that way, right there. He's back. At Ant Rivera, Ant Rivera 86. It's been so long I haven't been able to say your name. Welcome back. It is Total Hockey Now here on the Total Hockey Now YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in as always. At Fuzzy Chris 91 here as always as well. We've got the line back together. And as I said before we came on the air, funny coincidence how we've been slogging through these ESPN mocks, and Yahoo comes back, and look who's back. Funny how that works.
Did someone say Yahoo mock
Yeah.
draft? Did I hear Yahoo mock draft in there?
So we're very happy about that because there's actually some strategy in terms of like the positions now involved. It's just a forward defense goalie situation, and we'll get to that in about 30 minutes here, closer to the bottom of the hour, 40 past. We'll take that. Before then, we're going to talk some NHL win totals, some that I pulled out from FanDuel that I have a particular lean on. We'll see how these guys feel about them and run through those. And look, State of Survival, yeah, the whole gang's getting back together again. Is Marek here? If you're here, you got to let us know. We'll see if he's here. But nonetheless, good to have everybody back together, and not too much news to get to. So how the Alouettes doing, Chris? Like, let's get a CFL update here.
It's fine. We don't really talk about it right now. It's how can I put it? How can I put it in hockey terms? That somebody will understand. It's basically like the Rangers in November.
Oh, we've gotten that bad,
December.
huh?
Yeah. Great start. Davis Alexander gets hurt. And then it's just downhill. They lost last week, yes, on the final drive. Two former Alouettes, Cody Fajaro, and I forget the wide receiver. They connect. Owls lose by like a point. And what is it, like 2 points or something? It's down bad right now. We're not gonna lie. The vibes are not great. Their best player, their quarterback, is not there. So, I drink a lot of beer when I go. A lot of, twisted teas and stuff like that to help numb the pain. That was the last 2 weeks. The last 2 games have not been great at home that I went to go watch, but we keep plugging.
Listen, it's a fun way to spend a Friday night. I'm assuming most of the home games are Fridays, if not on Saturday or Sunday sometimes too, right? That's the CFL schedule. Was it Thursday to Sunday?
Thursday to they have a couple on Monday. I think Labor Day is the only Monday that they have. But yes, it's usually from Thursday to Sunday in some capacity.
And listen, like when you're a season ticket holder, there's something different. You're invested, and that's the one thing that football has going for it. It's so ritualistic. It's usually the same day of the week, same time, same place, a little bit, it's fun. But we're not here to talk CFL football or American football. We're here to talk little fantasy hockey mock draft, and also we'll talk some NHL win totals. So without further ado, let's get to that. First up that I wanted to throw up there, and one of the ones that made me scratch my head, the Minnesota Wild over 94.5 points, minus 108. This was a team last year that got to 97 points while Kirill Kaprizov missed a nice chunk of the season. Is there any reason why you think that the odds makers would have them 3 points lower or 2.5 points lower than what they finished last year? Because I don't see that. Like, I feel like this is one of those really easy ones that, like, there's no reason they shouldn't clear that easily. And then at the end of the year, you're like, oh, I guess they were right.
Straight delusion. There's no other real way to put that. Like, I get that the Minnesota Wild, maybe they don't look fantastic on the blue line. Like, I think we can agree on that, but they're good in goal, and a healthy Kirill Kaprizov and a healthy Joel Eriksson Ek and the rest of the gang, they can win games. I think maybe odds makers have them where they are just due to how competitive their division is going to be, and having to play Dallas, having to play Colorado, like having to play Winnipeg, and then who knows what you get out of Nashville and St. Louis. There's so many games that are going to be tight that even if they do play 500, then they'd have to be like 650 against the rest of the league. But 94.5 basically has them as a fringe playoff team, and I don't think that's correct.
All right, so go ahead. What were you
No,
gonna say?
all I was gonna say is I agree with Chris here. I think it's because of how competitive that Central Division is with Winnipeg, Dallas, and Colorado ahead of them. I do agree. I think they're definitely better than the 94.5. And if Kaprizov can stay healthy, they'll make it easy to 97 again.
Now, you talk about the division. Let's just use that to segue to the next one that kind of jumped out at me. Winnipeg Jets over 97.5 points, minus 118. This is a team that last year, 116 points, took home the President's Trophy in that very tough division. Pretty much running back the same team they did last year. No Nikolai Ehlers, but to have a 23.5 point drop, or excuse me, a 19.5 point, 18.5 point drop, if I could do my math correctly. I expect them to not have 116 points, but to basically have them all the way back down to 98. Maybe the NHL, maybe the thought process is in that division, you're not going to really have a ton of teams close to that 108, 110, and everybody's kind of going to be sandwiched in to that 100, we'll say 96 to 105 range.
I think the thought process here is they're looking at playoff Connor Hellebuck. Connor Hellebuck in season is one of the best goalies around. So I see them around probably like 108, 110, definitely not 116. I don't know if they could bring it back to 116 again, but I think 108, 110 is fair. 97.5. I think that's doing them a disservice considering how good they were last season and winning the President's Trophy.
And they got to 110 the year before that. Now, the year before that, 2 years ago, was 95. But we really just keep it to the last season and the previous season. So average 113 over the last 2 seasons for Winnipeg.
And that 95, that year that they got 95, that was the year they were supposed to break everything up, right? Everyone was going. Hellebuck was going. Scheifele was going. The whole team was going. And then they bring them back. And then the last 2 years, they're the best, basically the best team in hockey.
Yeah, I don't know. I expect a correction. Yes. I also don't think the loss of Nikolai Ehlers is an 18-point swing in the standings. Like that's.
And they brought in Gustav Nyquist, which I understand is not, but I mean, they did plug the hole.
It's not, but this also frees up a spot for Cole Perfetti to do something. Is it going to be saddled on the fourth line, hopefully, anymore? This is a very mature Jets team. Their defense is good. They have a world-class goalie, and that'll win you games no matter what. Like, he's going to go out there and probably steal games for his team. I do believe that there will be a correction. Yes. But 97.5 is just like, that's too low. Again, that if you think they can compete for the conference title, or if you believe they can win their division, like 97 is not going to cut it.
I would see if you could even move that number up to get better odds there. If you can move it up to like 100, still.
I think they probably break 100 anyways. Yeah. Like that just. I don't know why it's 97.5.
Even factoring in the tough division and the improved stars and some regression that should just happen based on can they really, crack 110 3 years in a row? Yeah, to get to 100 seems like a no-brainer here. And again, Connor Hellebuck gets hurt and misses 2 months of the season. Well, okay, there you go. It's out the window at that point. So maybe they're anticipating an injury with Hellebuck because the guy's been a workhorse the last couple of years. Maybe there's a breakdown coming, or even if not a significant injury, just something that takes them, probably knocks them down a few points in the standings. So, yeah.
That's definitely a slippery slope to take right off the back. Like expecting if you're expecting Connor Hellebuck to get hurt, man, you better make sure you get that right. Putting money on that to be, 97? I can't see. I think they definitely break over 100. It's somewhere in between 108, 110. I think.
Because there are some questionable teams that we'll get through that have higher point totals than them.
Yeah,
and I'm like, wait, where? How did this happen? That's not it.
All right, so I was going to go in a different direction here because I have the teams lined up, and we'll go back and forth here. But you because you said that, this is the one I think you're talking about here. The Kings over 98.5 points at minus 114. Now, yes, Edmonton is running back the dominant regular season squad they have. Yes, Vegas is better. So that definitely, but they only play each other a few times. They only play each other 4 times. So like it's not going to be that much like, in point differential there. The Kings, as we've talked about, we don't love their blue line additions, older, slower guys. Yes, kind of fits into the way they play. But yeah, I would consider the over here, but I mean that one is probably worth sweating. And like you could probably even look at you could talk me into the under here, but yeah, this is probably one of those where how are they over Winnipeg?
It doesn't make sense because if you're looking at the Jets to make a correction, then you have to believe the Kings are going to make one as well. They have brought in some of the oldest and not useful players any round. Like no disrespect to Corey Perry, but he's 40. And then they brought in other players that are just like, this is a team that's not getting better. They're also not really that young. And I get Darcy Kemper had one good year and it was really, really good. And a lot of people are going to drink that Kool-Aid, but like he is built of paper mache. One little gust of wind the wrong way and that groin is gone and he's gone for a minute and they don't really have a backup. And they were exceptionally good on home ice. Exceptionally good. So there has to be some regression. Yes, they'll probably be a little bit better on the road than they were, but they were like just the gap was too big for them. So even if their division is a little bit easier, because yes, they get to beat up on, the Sharks. Yes, they get to beat up on the Ducks, who are apparently a playoff team.
We're going to talk about them next.
We got a whole bunch of teams here that are all of a sudden getting better, right? Like, yes, they get to beat up on Vancouver, but I mean, 98.5 is quite a number for them. That is bold.
Brian Dumoulin, Cody Ceci, the main defenseman they brought in on that are going to round out that third pairing for them.
That you're telling that's the third pairing that's going to help keep you over 98.5.
And Anton, now listen, we saw what happened with Darcy Kemper. He came in and all of a sudden he was an all elite goaltender for last season. Anton Forsberg comes over as the backup now. Maybe that has a similar effect on him because I mean he wasn't doing the Senators any favors last year. That's for sure.
To be fair, though, the Senators do nobody any favors.
That's what I'm saying. So maybe if they do go with more of a timeshare, maybe he benefits the same way Kemper benefits.
I'm just saying that Darcy Kemper, that he finished with a .922 save percentage and a 2.00 goals against average. Those are some of his goals against average is the best of his career. That's the best goals against average he's posted. That is below his career average, which is 2.54. So there is some regression that is coming with him quite a bit. I get it. Like the Kings are good defensively, but now you employ Dumoulin and Ceci, and that is not a recipe for success. But I don't know, man. I don't know how you swallow that one and think it's a good idea.
Just looking at his stats, Kemper always seems to regress after having somewhat of a big year. He did it after that year with Colorado, although he changed teams and went to Washington. Arizona, 18-19, he regressed, twice. So I think Chris is right on that. Spot on.
Now, I was the biggest Darcy Kemper guy on this show last year.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting off at the next stop. I was already thinking about that. And, Chris alone, I mean, just hanging around with him for too long, like I'll end up throwing eggs at Darcy Kemper's house if I hang out with Chris for too long. So, yeah, I think this year I'm off that train.
So thank you for your services. Wish you well on your future endeavors.
Listen, you don't have to love these players, the guys that you took last year. The team that you built last year won't win you a championship this year. So somebody's going to get
wise words.
When you got him last year, like that was a discount. Somebody's taking him as like a top 10 goalie. And you're like,
he's
that's
probably closer to 10, but yeah.
That's crazy when you think of how many good goalies you could get and taking him as like close to that like 8 to 12 range. That is like some people didn't have any faith in him last year. And and you did, and you benefited from it. But if somebody's going down that path of saying, oh, yeah, man, I believe in Darcy Kemper and his career best 2.00 goals against average at, how old is he now? Like 35. He's 35. Oh, man. Do I have a beachfront property in Saskatchewan for you?
I'm not betting on him again, but a guy I will bet on every time for showing up, Merrick. We asked, we shall receive. Good to see him as well. The whole family's getting back together. It's not quite Thanksgiving yet in either of our countries, but we got that vibe today. We'll stay in Southern California. Let's talk about the Ducks. I do have my Chris Kreider jersey on. You can kind of see it there. Yeah, kind of see it through the chair. Nonetheless, he is now an Anaheim Duck. And off-ice stuff aside for Joel Quenneville, when he was last coaching with the Florida Panthers, his performance as a coach was not the issue. So, yes, he's been away from the game, but I don't think this is a situation where the game has passed him by. Looking at you, Lindy Ruff, I think 80.5 for a team last year that got to 80, and you can make the argument is a better team both on paper, up front, blue line. Those still supposed to take another step this year. They have Mrazek if things go wrong and better coaching. The division is not very top heavy. I think 80.5, I don't think is that crazy for them to get to 81 points. Have one more point than they did last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only reason is because they did it with the squad that they had last year. I think a lot of it comes down to how much Jacob Trouba and Radko Gudas play, because like they're older now and their style of play is very different. Bringing in some veterans is going to help a young team. They still have to figure out what they're doing with Mason McTavish because he doesn't have a deal. And I might be biased here, but I think he would look great in Bleu Blanc Rouge. So, maybe that can happen from there. But yes, I don't think it will hurt them to have a veteran coach there to assist them and go through the growing pains of what trying to be competitive looks like. There were a lot of nights where the Ducks just didn't look competitive. They weren't good defensively. They gave up too many shots. They couldn't generate a lot of offense. And yes, those styles going to take over, but this is going to be the first time in his career where he's going to be, I guess, heavily counted on to produce. Like John Gibson's no longer there where Dostal can get like a 50-50 split. You don't pay Dostal to be a 50-50 split guy. You want to see more out of him. So I'm a little bit worried about how his body's going to handle it, the workload he's going to handle. Because if he's out there facing 45 plus shots a night, like it's not going to matter. He's going to break down, and then whoever else steps up at that point, it's not going to matter. But I will say that with you for 1 point more. I mean, I would take the over, but I wouldn't go crazy about it.
Would help if I turn my cough button on again. And yes, the blue line, Gudas and Trouba, but Jackson Lacombe certainly played well the back half of the season last year. See what happens with Olin Zellweger. He's another guy. Pavel Mintyukov, more of a power play specialist, but still reliable back there. And yes, Mason McTavish would look good, and I think that would be just what the doctor ordered for the Canadians. But we'll talk about them at a different time.
I think that I'm going to go over with the Ducks here. I think 82 to 85 points for them, just for having Joe Quenneville.
And here's the other thing, too. And I understand this is one of those situations where, yes, the line I'm about to say 2-3 years ago would have been like, oh, that's a good line. But when Ryan Strome, Frank Verchano, and Mikhail Granlund's your third line, all right, that to me at least indicates that you're moving in the right direction. You're trying to be. Am I saying the Ducks are a playoff team this year?
No.
Absolutely not. But to clear 80.5 points with a goaltender that they're going to give every chance to be the guy. And yes, is Pete Mrazek great? No. But when he played, he was good. Yeah. So
solid enough. Yeah. In his 26-year career coaching, Joel Quenneville has only one lost season. And that was the 2017-2018 Chicago Blackhawks,
which that team was the dynasty
done
was
by then.
done. Yeah,
Yep.
the ceiling was starting to cave in there a little bit.
One losing season in 26 years.
So I mean, yeah, I think
He's about to have a second one.
I mean, you could still clear 80.5 and have a losing season. But
I mean, losing. I mean, you know what I mean? Like if they're like a 500, you know what I mean? If they're 1 or 2 games over 500, sure. I guess mathematically it's not a losing season, but
Yeah, they were 35 and 37 last year.
so this is what we're gonna do. We got a few more teams. We'll finish up the West today. We're gonna save the East for next week because I got a lot of teams lined up, and I know I want to get to the mock draft here in about 10 minutes or so. So I got 3 more teams we'll talk about today. We'll do the Eastern Conference next week. Yeah, to me, this is a no-brainer. There's really no reason to look like if you wanted to talk about the under them for them, which by the way, since I did the research for this, it is now up to 81.5. So I think they're starting to catch up at FanDuel at least a little bit.
They're watching this show.
Maybe. You know, and then just to go back to what we were talking about before, if you agree that the Kings getting 98.5 is a little too much, you go under at -106. So you know,
that's because Adam dropped 10K on 80.5 of the Ducks over, and then the line shifted. That's why.
Yeah, while Anthony was talking, I was busy doing what I needed to do.
Just moving moving the kids' college fund into the Anaheim Ducks over 80.5.
Fingers crossed. I guess I'm going to Duck Sharks this year and rooting for Anaheim. Anyway, I don't have out of all the games I picked, I didn't pick any Ducks games this year. It didn't work, but maybe now I have to. I am going to see the Wild on New Year's Eve. One of the things you missed is we each adopted Central Division teams for the season. I adopted the St. Louis Blues. Chris adopted the Wild. So you've got to pick from the remaining 6 who's going to be your Central adopted team for the season. So yeah.
You have time now. You can think about this.
I got to decide today. It doesn't have to be. I mean,
adoption is a big thing. You know what I mean? Like,
did you specifically stay away from Winnipeg's the Stars in Colorado for a reason?
No, I'm high on the Blues, and you know what? We'll talk about them next if I'm bringing them up here. But
we're staying away from the Predators and the Blackhawks. That's for sure. I assume.
I could see the Mammoth being your team. I could see that being a good look on you. You know. Maybe we'll talk about them next week, but let's talk about the Blues here. We went back to the Central Division. Let's talk a little St. Louis Blues hockey. 91.5 points for the St. Louis Blues, and I understand they went on quite the run to close the season. They finished with 96 points total. Previous season, they finished with a total of 92, so they've cleared this total the last 2 years. And if you want to go back 3 years, okay, they had 81 points that year. Before that, not the best season in St. Louis. Nonetheless, they've cleared this total the last 2 years. Again, I know that they closed the season on a run just to get into the playoffs and get there, but I know it's a tough division, but they hung with Winnipeg in the playoffs. You know, there's really no team in this division. Like, yes, I know Colorado's better. I know Dallas is better. I know Winnipeg's better, and probably Minnesota too. They can beat all those teams. They're built in a way to try and beat those teams.
I'm just having a hard time getting behind the St. Louis Blues. I'm just going to keep it a stack. I'm like, they had to go on that crazy run just to get to 96 points, right? Like, and then all those teams you just mentioned got better. And did the St. Louis Blues get better over the summer? Not really.
I will argue they did, but not in the, we'll look at the firepower we added. Suter and Bjugstad, tough guys to play against. I think they know that they can't keep up with the Joneses in terms of the talent level that Dallas and Colorado have. So they just have to bring in, use an old-fashioned term, muckers and grinder types that are just tough to play against, and sandpaper, whatever adjective you want to use to wear them down. So in that regard, I do think they're a little better because they are going to have a third line that's tougher to play against. Sundqvist, Joseph, and Toropchenko on the fourth line, or at least right now.
I'm just having a hard time trusting them.
Okay. You don't trust Jim Montgomery? Because, I mean, he came in last year. And
I think that he, like, if anybody can get the most out of that team, it's probably him. And I think the Blues as an organization and the players believe that because they wasted no time getting him in to St. Louis when he became free. They're like, hey, buddy, come on over. Like, get on the plane. We'll deal with our situation here. And yes, when he got there, St. Louis, all of a sudden, they turn things around, they get better, Boston ends up selling and look where they are kind of thing. But it's still a really tough division. And yes, I agree that they are maybe a better rounded lineup, but at the end of the day, you have to score goals. And that might be a problem for the St. Louis Blues. It's going to be hard to generate that offense consistently at a level that some of those other teams in their division are. Like, you can win games, 3-2 and stuff like that. But what if you get behind the 8 ball, I don't know, you're down 2-0 or something in the first period. Like, how are you going to crawl out of that hole afterwards? I don't know if they have the elite upside on that roster to do that.
Jordan Kyrou still puts the puck in the net. Jimmy Snuggerud, full season of him. Dylan Holloway, I think he maybe takes another step this year. Again, it's not. Buchnevich still going strong there. Listen, I understand it's not Mikko Rantanen or Nathan McKinnon or Kirill Kaprizov on that roster. I get it. Maybe it's just because I've fallen for this team. Maybe because it's now in their mind season. So maybe I've got blue-colored glasses on right now. But bottom line is,
I love.
Yeah, maybe, but I like the way they play. I think the whole Jordan Binnington is not a good goalie anymore narrative needs to at least be put to bed for now. I'm not saying put a nail in the coffin, but it needs to be put to bed for now. The way he played with the Blues in the playoffs, in the Four Nations face-off for Canada, I think he's at least earned the right to come into the. I'm not saying he's a top 10 goalie, but he's a serviceable guy that you can put out there every night, and he's not going to cost you games. I haven't seen him try to fight in a while, so that's good. Maybe he's past that.
Maybe he's reformed.
Yeah,
maybe he's reformed. Maybe he's a better man now.
Possible.
That's the thing too. Like, can Binnington carry over this momentum? Can the entire Blues team carry over that momentum that took them all the way to Game 7 in overtime against the team that won the President's Trophy? Can they continue to show that momentum with a good coach like Jim Montgomery? And you put it in the right direction. 91.5 points here. They had, 96 last season. I could see them around 92, 93.
Okay. Here's my thing. And here's another thing too. Jake Neighbors, like a poor man's Matthew Nyes. Like, it's crazy that we're already saying poor man's Matthew Nyes, but with the contract he got, we can start referring to him that as a guest. But like, if he's another guy too, that if he just takes another little bit of a step in a development in the right direction, he can have a big impact on that lineup too. Let's see here. Marek, I hate the fact that it's all the same teams in the playoffs and ahead. Can we not have a Cinderella team that can surprise you? Born again goalie. I like that. That's the name of his biography. There it is, or his movie. The story about Jordan Binnington, born again goalie.
I would love to watch his an autobiography about his life. Like, I would read it because I don't want to read, but I would watch a movie about his his career and stuff, and then like how he is.
What about audiobook?
Who should play Jordan Binnington in the movie? totalhockeynow@gmail.com. Let us know who should play Jordan Binnington in the very well named by State of Survival, Born Again Goalie.
Born Again Goalie is a good one.
That could be a segment on this show too. A goalie that's had a resurgence lately. That's an in-season fantasy segment.
That was Darcy Kemper last year. So
he was last year's Born Again goalie.
Yeah, I mean, so you can't do it twice. You can't do it. Listen, you can't do it twice. You can't be bored again.
I think you could have two people because the whole thing, the impetus was Jordan Binnington. So I feel like we can have two goalies that get that honor each year. Kind of like the William Jennings is a 2-goalie award. We'll consider Born Again goalie we'll do 2 people.
Right, but Darcy Kemper can't be bored again this year. You know what I mean?
No.
So
and Binnington too. They're off the table. They are ineligible. It is now a 30-team poll, 30 goalie. But could be a backup that comes out of nowhere. But those 2 goalies are out of the mix. So Born Again goalie, love it. Can't wait. totalhockeynow@gmail.com. It is mock draft sign up time. So what I'm going to do to make sure we're all on the same page here is I'm going to open up Yahoo. We're going to go to the mock draft, and then we'll talk about one more team while we kill time because sometimes it takes like a good 5 minutes to get in there. I'll let you guys decide, Flames or Oilers. We're going to do them before we go, and then we'll save the rest for next week.
Do the Oilers.
Yeah, we want to do the Oilers today? We'll do the Oilers today. All right. Let's see. I thought I had that tab open, so just bear with me, fellas.
Gotta do the Western Conference champions.
I want to say some mean things about the Oilers, and I'll say some mean things about the Leafs next week.
Okay, so wait, no, we're gonna do Oilers today and save the Flames for next week. Is that the way we're going?
Yeah, we can.
All
We
right,
can throw
well,
the
I get-
Flames in there quickly. They're not. There's not much to talk about with them. Kind of like their roster.
So, all right. Well, we'll save the Flames for next week. Let's talk Edmonton. Under 106.5 points minus 115. How do we feel about this? Because I think Vegas wins the division, but looking what Edmonton did last year, as I minimize that window, there it is. Edmonton last year, 101 points. The year before that, 104. Year before that, 109. So 2 years ago, they cleared this total. Haven't cleared it the last 2 years. Vegas is better. I mean, unless they think the rest of the conference is so thinned out to the point where they're going to feast a little bit, but I think under 106.5 makes a lot of sense to me. I don't see them clearing that.
I don't know in what universe people think they're gonna like they've gotten better. I don't get it. Right? Like you said, the last 2 years they've gone to the Stanley Cup finals and they haven't cleared the number. And we can all agree that looking at that roster, they have not gotten better. So in what universe is this team with this defensive structure going to clear 106.5? I don't understand. I don't
They still have
understand
Stuart Skinner as their goaltender, right? Like I didn't miss the change, and I just dropped the lobby in there, and I'm going to share my screen so we all can sign up for the same exact one, and then we'll get back to Edmonton there.
Even if he like what's the I don't know. I'm trying to understand the logic behind it, and I can't get it.
We'll be doing the power play 208-7441. I'm going to be the guy to slow the draft down in the middle. Go,
Pulse.
Chris is
I will
already
be.
in there. All right, I'll move. You know what?
I will be the.
You'll be
You go. Okay, there you go. Okay,
I'll pace the draft. I haven't done from the top position yet in all the mocks I've been doing.
that's fair.
And then, yes, we are doing the power play 208-7441 if you'd like to join us as well, along with Chris and Anthony and myself. Still a few spots open. Always nice to have some live people in the room doing a 12-teamer. I will say it's sometimes annoying when, like some people put it automatically on auto draft. I do find that annoying. Then why'd you sign up? Like, what are you doing? But
I'm okay with it. I want some of those. Just I need some real people so that it doesn't just take the next best player available. And sometimes I want that dude.
As McDavid was signed, he dragged him back to the playoffs. Of course, he's going to drag him back to the playoffs. That's what Connor McDavid does. That's going to be an interesting story all year long to see how that contract status goes. But to Chris's point, like, yes, they've gotten the Stanley Cup, but they don't clear that point total. Doesn't seem to matter. And again, like getting to the Stanley Cup, as long as you're hitting your stride at the right time, like, yes, you want home ice and all that, but is there a difference between a 105-point team and a 107-point team in the grand scheme of things? Not really. And because they haven't gotten to this total in the last 2 years, and there's no reason to think that all of a sudden they're going to have a resurgence this year. I mean, yes, they have a full season of Jake Wallman. Is that really making that much of a difference? In some regards, yes, but not in that overall point total. So yeah, I would say, the under makes a lot of sense here for me.
As our wise guru of the show, Chris, has said many times in the past, on a contract year, Connor McDavid's about to go off this season.
So
He's about to have
that
a
would be the
big
argument to
season.
go with the over there.
Even if he does go off, like he's still entitled to however much money. He doesn't need a contract year. Every year is a
Absolutely.
contract year for him. He's Connor McDavid's negotiation is real simple. You just slide him over a blank check. You say, put a number here. It's already pre-signed by whoever's got to sign it. Just say, Connor, what's the number? Just put it down here, and we'll move on extremely quick. We'll pre-dot your I's and pre-cross your T's. Like McDavid is going to do everything as can. The problem is he can't do it alone. And even if he has, Draisaitl there and stuff like that, the rest of that team is just not filled out. They're missing pieces, specifically in that bottom six. I think there's a spot missing in their top six, which is problematic because they had some guys there and now they're not there anymore. But every time they go out and they get somebody to come in, with the exception of Zach Hyman, who has worked out extremely well for them, right? He came over from Toronto, signed that deal. He has been, even if he had a down season last year, I don't think anybody was thinking he was going to score 50 plus again, but like he has been good. He's come over and he's produced. But
I'll put Ekholm on that list too. But outside of that,
they went out to get Skinner, Jeff Skinner didn't work out. They went out to get Victor Arvidsson, didn't work out. So, I mean, how many more players can you go through that top six that are, going to show some type of promise?
well, that's the problem too, is that they're limited with their cap constraints. So there's only so many options that they're available to them to go out and try and upgrade around them. And that's not going to get any better with Connor McDavid set to get a raise. So,
And by salary cap restraint, we mean Darnell Nurse's contract.
correct. That's the way to translate that.
That abomination of a listen. Shout out to his agent, man. That's what good agents do. They get money for their clients, and he definitely got paid.
Good news, fellas. We're getting ready to go here. We are
Yes.
2.5 minutes away. 2.5 minutes away. We could do a quick Calgary Flames. You want to do them quick?
Sure.
Over 84.5 minus 112. Team last year, looking at their standings from last year, they also had to go on a run to get in the mix. They finished with 96. Year before that was a bad year, but finished with 81, but only 3 points below that. And the year before that finished with 93. I know they can't score, but is it crazy if I think Anaheim's better than 80.5? If Calgary can even put the puck in the net a little bit more than they do now, 84.5 minus 112 to take the over there, I'm on board with that.
I can live with that one because 84.5 is a little bit disrespectful there. I don't think they are a 90 plus point team. I don't think so. Like they're not there yet, but this is a really good team on the back end. They have a lot of good players who can defend. They have I don't know if you want to call him a world-class goalie, but like Dustin Wolf's going to be him one day. And he wins the Calder Trophy if it isn't for Lane Hudson because of what he was able to accomplish as a rookie goalie on a team that wasn't very good. Like they don't score goals. That is a true scoring by committee. Like they have to find offense from all four of their lines. You can't do it with one. So I would take the over. I don't think it might be tough. It might take them 81 games to get there, or maybe the last one 82, but they'll get there.
And again, not to say that they're necessarily a playoff team. I know they were in the mix last year, but you can get to 85, 86 points and not be, even if they get to 90, I don't think it's crazy to think that they could approach 90.
No, I think it's perfect. It's perfectly doable, perfectly possible. You need a lot of things to go right, but it's not as far-fetched as, let's say, thinking Edmonton can get over 100. Like that, I have more faith in the Flames covering the over than I do in the Oilers covering the over.
There we go. And we got the draft counting down here. About
Dustin Wolf is top 10 in this rankings in fantasy goalies.
He has been very popular in drafts, and I'm not going to be that guy that milks the first overall pick very long when we all know who we're taking here. Just going to take Connor McDavid. We're not going to go crazy here.
That seems like a smart move.
But let's not be. Now, again, I'm not going to pick for a while.
I remember when I used to get Connor McDavid with the 6th overall pick, but that was last week.
So there we go. McDavid first, McKinnon second. Cale Makar goes third. That's as early as I've seen him go. With Anthony on the clock now, picking 4th.
Someone's been listening to the show, I guess.
I'm curious to see how high that ADP goes for Cale Makar this year, because people are catching on to trying to get at least the top defenseman out of the way early, especially with like guys like Werenski and Quinn Hughes out there. And Makar is just a fantastic player and has had no reason to show any signs of slump or regression. He's still playing on a top team. So, yeah, to me, I don't know if I take him before 4. but I could certainly make the argument from the go as that high as Leon Draisaitl goes fourth to Anthony Nikita Kucherov fifth. And here, Chris on the clock at 6. He takes Kirill Kaprizov. He takes his guy. Obviously, if Makar was there, you're probably taking him, but that's your plan B, and that's not a bad plan B.
Not a bad plan. I just, I wanted to get one of those two, and I did.
All right. So after that, David Pastrnak goes, who's going to be the sole source of offense for the Boston Bruins this year. There goes Mikko Rantanen in 9th. Certainly an appropriate spot for him. And again, we are playing, the past few mock drafts have been just straightforward D goaltender. Now we've got 2 centers, 2 left wings, 2 right wings, 4 defensemen, 2 goalies, and 4 bench spots to play with here in a 12-team draft. As the next team coming up here on the clock has got about 5 seconds left. Definitely this is at a part of the draft where you got to make decisions. Am I taking Quinn Hughes? Am I taking William Nylander? Am I taking Connor Hellebuck? Those are just some names that get thrown out around this time of the draft.
And because these are real people, like there's some actual thought behind some of these.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's not like in other years where, or it's not like when we were with ESPN and, a goalie goes 3rd overall and you're like, okay, well, that's fun.
All right. So Quinn Hughes goes pick 11 because the clock gets milked. Again, normally I don't love clocks being milked down, but at this point in the draft, there are decisions to be made. There's a lot of ways you could go. Jack Eichel rounds up round 1, and he does the Vegas double stack there, Steve, and he takes Mitch Marner round 2. That's another guy that, I've only been doing mocks this week. I mean, it's so early in the Yahoo process that they don't even have ADPs up for these guys yet. And Marner is, when I first started back on Wednesday, Marner was going late 2nd round, and he's steadily moved up into the top of the 2nd round just in a few days.
That's a very nice stack there, though, for him.
Normally, I don't like stacking guys from the same team that quickly. It's a little bit different than like football with a quarterback and a receiver. But in this situation, an Eichel Marner stack like that, and a Hughes Kachuk pairing, certainly not a bad way to go on the wraparound at the back end of a 1st, 2nd round pick there. The guy who took Connor Hellebuck, is now on the clock. See if he takes a skater at this pick.
I just don't want him to take my player.
Kyle Connor goes, so he's got a Winnipeg Jets stack going. There's a guy that's still on the board that I would love to have, but there's no way he is making it to me. So
I'll try to put you out of your misery for it.
Well, we'll see. I mean, there's still 3 picks to go. Again, if anybody that's watching this right now, that's also in the mock, maybe we could pick up the pace just a little bit here. Have a good mocky draft. I think what he's said, Marek is staying there. Love the support here. And hey, we take these and we isolate them and put them out there. So if you don't want to sit through the gambling stuff, you can always go back and watch the mock drafts that'll be on our YouTube channel later today. If not tomorrow, I'll separate these and get them posted. Here we go. Clock being milked down after Kyle Connor.
I know. It's just he took Werenski, so I'll take a goalie here.
All right, there we go. So it's just my screen was frozen. So it goes Werenski, Nylander, Panarin, Jake Ottinger, Matthew Tkachuk, and Anthony on the clock here.
I wanted Werenski, but I guess cat's out of the bag. He's elite. So,
and here's the thing: a Rantanen and Werenski pairing in that back end of the first, the first round.
That's a lot of offense, man. That's a lot of baggers.
So listen, 3rd goalie off the board. Ant takes Vasilevsky there. Probably not the worst move in the world because if he was still there when I was picking, I was probably taking him.
I didn't want to take a goalie that early, but I also didn't want to wait on the round.
That's kind of like this. We're very early in Maki season here, and it's we're trying to figure out where these top tier goalies are going. And right now, Hellebuck's usually the only guy in the 1st round, but then in that 2nd round, we're starting to see the guy 2nd and 3rd round especially, and then it kind of trails off a little bit. Hughes goes.
It's kind of trying to weigh the upside to it because sometimes taking goalies can be voodoo and they can be random, but usually your elite goalies are going to be elite, and it's the juggling of, do I forego a player that could potentially hit 100 points, or a defenseman who can flirt with 80 for a top tier goalie, or can I find that value later on?
Now, I was a little bummed because I was hoping to get Sam Reinert there. I know Braden points on the board, but I'm going to first take Evan Bouchard, go with a little Edmonton Oilers power play stack. Now, I got a long time till I pick again, and I don't want to wait on goaltender anymore. So I'm going to get my boy, Igor Shesterkin, open up round 3. And again, when you're picking at the back end or the front end of a round, yeah, it's great to have that, back-to-back picks on the swing. But sometimes, would I prefer to wait on a goaltender? Sure, but I don't know if I can. By the time the picks get around to me, I may not love what's out there. And I like to have one anchor goaltender for sure. I don't like being forced into a situation where I'm taking Linus Olmark and Thatcher Demko and got my fingers crossed, Rasmus Dahlin goes to Travis there. He's building a nice squad. Nate McKinnon, Sam Reinert, Rasmus Dahlin. That's a good first 3 rounds. As Dylan's on the clock here. He's got Cale Makar and Jack Hughes. Pick 3-3 here.
5 defensemen early.
That's about right. I mean, that's not, a little bit ahead of pace from last season. There goes Ovechkin with pick 27. Anthony on the clock now. He's got his center right wing in Draisaitl, and that's the other thing too. Position eligibility all of a sudden comes into play here. Vasilevsky will go forward, or will he grab his first defenseman here? There's one name on the board that if I would take at this point. I would struggle to pass on him, but and that takes Josh Morrissey. He's going. He sees the run on defenseman coming. Says, you know what? I don't want to be left out.
Speaking of stacks, can't have one. Not right. Well, listen, can't have one without the other, because these two are going to be a lot of fun to watch all year. So I'm going to take, and dual position eligibility, super important here, Matt Boldy.
And again, wing. I'll say this: left wing is a little bit more top heavy, but when the cliff goes for the right wingers, it's steep. So, Matt Boldy goes there, so he's got Kaprizov, Ottinger, and Boldy as his first 3 picks. Now Jason on the clock with Matthews and Panarin, certainly a good pairing there in the first 2 rounds. See what he's got going here. Jason Robertson, and then Annie and whoever, waste no time. Braden Point falling with a 3.8, a guy who usually goes somewhere in the second round. That's a steal. I mean, I could have taken him too, but I didn't want to have 2 centers out of the gate and then be left with not a defenseman or a goaltender by the time it came back to me. So kudos to that, Annie and whoever. They got Nylander, who can also play the right side, Pasternak and Point. There goes Barkov, Blackwood, and Forsberg with Steve on the clock there as we wrap up round 3 in a second.
Chase with 2 goalies in the top 3 is absolute banger move there. That's one that can win you a league, or one that's going to sink you immediately.
And that's the thing, because that will win you some weeks, just having those 2 guys, depending on how many goalie categories there are. So, and then the round closes with Ilya Sorokin. A lot of people expecting a bounce back from him. And then Jake Gensel and Macklin Celebrini goes at pick 39.
Absolute wildness that Steve took Lane Hudson at 4-1. I love that.
Oh, he's another guy who's quickly. He's in that second tier of fantasy defenseman already. And there goes Victor Hedman. So yes, very good that people grabbed the defenseman when they did, because they're starting to go. But people are realizing that now.
Yeah, listen. People who draft on Yahoo, some of the smartest people, even just random.
There goes Adam Fox.
Nothing against the ESPN folks, but you guys have no idea what's going on. Like, hockey is played on ice with a black rubber puck. But yeah, some of the smartest people here. I'm not going to let somebody else take him from me. And he also has dual position eligibility. So I'm going to take Tage Thompson here.
And it's almost, he's been going a little bit early. This is about the spot he's been going, but his ADP is going to go up for sure.
I expect it to, and I'm hoping the others don't catch up to him. I'm hoping everybody forgets where Buffalo is on the map, so they don't think about him, so I can think about him.
So Ant on the clock here. Once he makes his pick, we'll let him talk it through here. But yes, and the other thing I've noticed too is like we are in the thick of fantasy football draft season and mock season. I figured I was gonna have nobody in the room with me on a Wednesday night at 10 o'clock Pacific time. No, like those 12, if you're not in on it, like that one room that fills up quick. So people are already out doing mocks.
How tilting was it that we finished last week's episode and then I got the email from Yahoo not even an hour later being like, hey, fantasy hockey mock draft is open. And I'm like, really?
Thanks, guys.
This is how we get treated?
So, Ant, you take Clayton Keller there. I love that pick, and I like the way your team's coming together right now. You opened up with Draisaitl, Vasilevsky, Morrissey, Keller. And
Yeah, I like the fact that he has dual eligibility. So I thought that it was ripe for the picking for Keller.
All right, and he probably would not have lasted by the time he got back to you.
I don't think so.
Now, I can make 2 picks here. Now, this is a banger league. So give me Adrian Kempe as one of my picks. And I could go in 3 different directions here. I got to expect that he will not have he'll have a better season than his sophomore year. Give me Connor Bedard. Pick 49 to open round 5. Dual position eligibility in Yahoo too.
He looks like he's been working out in the gym. Homie's got those steel biceps now.
Listen, I've got McDavid and Bedard on the same fantasy hockey team right now. How could I not be happy with that?
There's a lot of goals. There's not a lot of physical contact, but there's a lot of goals.
Well, that's why I took Kempe. He had 104 hits last year. I'm going to have to build that part of my roster. Yeah, Mark Scheifele's fall had to stop. Like at some point, somebody had to take him. Here we go. Dylan on the clock here. He's taking Ovechkin, Suzuki, Jack Hughes, and Cale Makar. I got to say, when I look at everybody's team in here so far, I'm like, yeah, I take that team. Yeah, there's nobody that'd be like, oh, that person's drafting like garbage right now. Everybody's good. Everybody's got good teams, making it tough. There goes Jesper Bratt. I'm sure Ant's not happy about that.
No, he was kind of on my list if someone else didn't go, but I'm getting the guy I want. And usually I like to do the goalie tandem, but that bit me in the tush last year. So I'm going to change it up and get my second top goalie.
And listen, when you take a guy like Vasilevsky, that is not a guy. Jonas Johansson is not on the handcuff list, nor will he be. So I mean, that's right in line with your strategy. That's probably the best. Him and Jonathan Quick played a fair amount last year, but if you're looking for workhorse goalies, Vasilevsky's your first stop. And after Hellebuck.
Yeah.
So Jesper Bratt goes at 5'3", and takes Philip Gustafson 5'4". Marty Natchez, who's a sneaky good 5th round pick, going to be playing with McKinnon on that top line. He's a guy I've been trying to target when possible. Cole Caulfield, no surprise going there. Pick 54 to Chris. Got to have guys to root for on the team. And Cole Caulfield in the middle of the 5th round. Not too shabby.
Got to root for 40 this year. So
there goes Wyatt Johnston. Brandon Hagel really quickly picks there. Sergei Bobrovsky, Robert Thomas, Dylan Larkin. Wow, this 5th round's moving. As we're already up to the last pick of the 5th round here. Steve on the clock. He's got Jack Eichel, Mitch Marner, Stack, Ilya Sorokin, Lane Hudson. So another team that I'm like, yep, that's pretty good. Let's see what direction he heads here. He takes Bo Horvat. So, Horvat's a guy, and there goes Dobson. So a couple of Islander connection there. Then Dustin Wolf and Jacob Chikrin. To go at pick 63, Seth Jarvis. There goes Mackenzie Weegar. He's an underrated fantasy defenseman because he fills a lot of categories for you. He goes at pick 65. Jason on the clock here. Chris, who do you have in mind, and who are you hoping isn't sniped? Can't trade to take the pick, so you can tell us.
I'm hoping a defenseman is there.
I think the guy you wanted was just taking.
He was the next one. If this defense, I'm taking Roman Josi. Thomas Harley would have been the next guy though, because the run is starting. So I don't want to be missing out.
Yeah, I was totally thinking of a bounce back season for Josi as someone that I would come around this round, but good pick.
He was
there.
like a what top? He used to be like a top 3 defenseman.
Yeah,
I understand he's not the same player he once was, and Nashville's a big reason to that. But like, Can anybody name another like defenseman there? No. Like he can do everything. He can shoot. He can block shots. Why not?
So then after Yossi, Alex DeBrincat, Ant gets his devil, and Nico Hischier. Listen, you're getting him at a discount right now, at least early on in the Maki season. And Moritz Seider goes there at pick 610, at pick 70 overall. And I can tell you, fellas, I'm definitely taking a defenseman with one of my 2 swing picks here, because look at all this green in round 6. Oh, I'm on the clock here, but only 1, 2, 3, 4 picks in this round, not defensemen. So my options right now: Shea Theodore, Jake Sanderson, Dougie Hamilton, Brandon Montour, Miro Heiskanen, Mikhail Sergachev. I'm going to take one of these guys here. I think I'll deal with Shea Theodore, and I'll get a piece of that Vegas top power play unit. Now I got to look at what I want to do. My next pick here. I don't know if I'm going to try and listen. They just paid him. He took a hometown discount. Give me John Tavares. I can move Bedard to the right wing and have Tavares as my second center there. That's one thing that annoys me about Yahoo is they don't move people. Like you have to like force it with like your bench picks. But yeah. So in this build right now, I'd have McDavid, Tavares as my centers with Bedard and Kempe as my right wings.
I'm gonna take a chance here on. I'm gonna take a chance on Matvei Mishka. He got a lot better when John Tortorella got out of town, so I'm hoping he can continue that torridness.
The Flyers know what they have in Mishkov. They're gonna do the right thing and play around him. So yeah, it's not crazy to think he's gonna have a big season or a better season than his rookie year. Darcy Kemper, there you go. That's probably an appropriate spot for him to go, considering he went after Aiden Hill, Dustin Wolf, Bobrovsky, Gustafsson. I think that's a fair place for Darcy Kemper to go, even factoring in an expected regression. Travis Konechny after Lucas goes, then Lucas Raymond here. So we are 80 picks through, and then pick 7-9. There goes Anthony Stolarz, Nikolai Ehlers, Logan Thompson. So 7th round almost done here, as Steve's going to bring us into round 8. How do we feel about our team so far?
This is probably the most challenging one since there are actually real people.
Yeah, it's
like I'm putting my brain into it.
Yeah.
And Matthew Nyes, I have no left wings yet. I was hoping maybe he'd swing back around to me. Maybe I was being a little, pie in the sky, thinking he would get to me at the end of the 8th round. That's why I hesitated to take Tavares, because I was thinking maybe I could wait on Nyes, but I was like, I don't know. Tavares was kind of that insurance, and I thought maybe taking him to open the 7th round would have been a little too early for him. But hey, we're helping set the ADPs right now. That's what we're doing. The real hockey, the people doing fantasy mock hockey drafts right now are the real fantasy mock players. Because a lot of just the general fantasy players are always, like I said, it's football season right now. So people start paying more attention to fantasy hockey once September hits and all the drafts are in the books for football. So in the 8th round, Seth Jones opens it up, and then Yuri Slafkovsky, Kevin Fiala, Matt Duchene, and Drake Batherson. Jason on the clock here, Chris on deck. Jacob Markstrom goes. So yeah, listen, the top tier goalies are second tier goalies are all going. So it might be time to grab that second one if you haven't.
I'm going to take a risk here. I don't really enjoy drafting him, but at this point, it seems like it's a discount, and it can only be up from here. It can't get worse for Elias Pettersson. Like it can't, right? Like it can't get worse if you're being paid $11.5 million after the season yet.
And that's the thing. Like last year, this was a guy that was going late in the 1st round, no later than early in the 2nd round. Middle of the 8th round, I think it's like you said, it's fair to take a stab on this guy at this point. There goes Tomas Hertl, Luke Hughes. Wow, Brandon Montour, Dougie Hamilton. Defensemen are going here. This might force my hand. I don't mind it because I was high on the guy last year, and I think they're going to be a better team this year. And that drop off in defenseman is real close. So I'm going to have to make one of those picks on Mikhail Sergachev here to close out round 12. And again, because goalie is starting to dry up, I feel like if I wait too much longer, I'm not going to be happy with what's left. And I was singing this guy's praises before. The topic of the first Born Again Goalie series, Jordan Binnington, open round 9. There we go. Shesterkin Binnington, which was a build I had at a mock I did last night, and I was like, I could deal with that. I think that's a good goalie pairing.
You could
Without, because of the draft, the capital that's invested. If I'm taking Shesterkin, round 3, and I'm taking Binnington round 9, I think that's reasonable. Love Anthony's Jackson Lacombe pick. He was one of my waiver wire pickups last year that I was most proud of.
Yeah, after seeing all these defensemen go, you got 4 spots here. Gotta keep stacking these guys because they're flying off the board.
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna get more value. Just everybody's going one way, so I'll go the other way here, doing Gunther.
Again, I can't say that there's a guy that I think is still out there that if he miraculously makes it back to me, no, he's not going to come back to me. Never mind.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. It's asking a lot. He would have to fall very far. When he goes off the board, I'll let you know who he is. But because you guys picked before me, I cannot say who it is. UC Saros, Linus Olmark. So that I'm happy to see goalies go now. I'm going to take probably one more from my bench at some point, but I want to see picks go. Rupe Hintz, his stock's falling. There goes JJ Peterka. That was the guy that I was, again, I was delusional to think he might have made it back to me, but a guy can dream sometimes. He goes right after Alex Tuck and Rupe Hintz, who's gotten at a discount there. Matthew Barzal, Steve, and as he opens up round 10 here, see who he grabs. There goes Carter Verhaeghe, Vince Dunja. Wow. People are filling it. Listen, there's a big difference between 3 and 4 defensive spots. There's 3 defensemen you can really wait and still grab somebody in the later rounds, and you're like, all right, fine. Even if you want to carry a 4th defenseman, you could find somebody in those later rounds and be like, okay, fine. This draft with that 4th defenseman, people are not messing around. I mean, look at the amount of green that has gone in the last 3.5 rounds. Look at that. You want to go around before that 6th round? I mean, it's been more defensemen than not defensemen, it seems like, since the beginning of round 6.
I don't love it, but, I mean, the Oilers are going to keep winning games, so we'll trust Stuart Skinner-ish.
I'm not taking him. I don't think he's going to have the job long term.
I mean, we're at pick 10. He's a starter on a team with a projection over-under of 106 points, so.
All right. I can no longer ignore left wing anymore. All right, so this is what I'm going to end up doing. Am I going to triple stack here? I'm going to go Hyman, McDavid, Bouchard. Why not? Why not? Let's just do a lot of Edmonton there. And then, all right, position versatility and eligibility can certainly make a guy's stock go up. I don't think I'm crazy for taking Buchnevich here, who could play all 3 wing spots to open round 11 there. So I'm fine with that. I mean, I couldn't wait because now you got the Frank Vitranos and Tyler Toffoli's of the world as left wings, and I have had nobody. There is one other left wing eligible guy I've got my eye on if he gets back to me, but that's a little bit later. There goes Neil Pionk and Logan Stankoven to open up the first 3 picks of round 11. Pick 124, Anthony on the clock here. Tyler Toffoli.
Okay.
Listen, he bounces around the lineup for the Sharks, but he's gonna get time with that top 6, especially with how young that team is. They're gonna probably try and keep him with one of the younger lines at all times, just as with a veteran presence out there. I mean, yes, I know he's. Maybe I could beat him in a foot race. I don't know, but he seems to listen. He might be slow, but he seems to not be out of position, so he makes it work.
Gonna get a lot of shots on goal. I'll take it.
Yeah, that's certainly what. On a line with Celebrini, he's going to be fed the puck. That's for sure. And if they decide to go Will Smith at center and put him with him, same thing. There we go. Toffoli, Jonathan Marchessault, Joel Eriksson, Eck to Chris. He's got to love that in the 11th round. Matthew Schaefer going way earlier here, usually like a final round pick, and ESPN drafts going around 11. He's going to be running the Islanders power play, or at least he's going to be given the opportunity to. Again, look at all this green. Shane Gostisbehere, and then goes Zibanejad, Carlson, Doughty, Velarde, Faber, Taves, Carolina Hurricanes defenseman Alexander Nikishin. Trocheck, love that pick. Kind of wish you made it back to me there, Sam Montembeau. And then here we go again with Jason on the clock at pick 138. Logan Cooley. So Chris probably, maybe that was on his short list, but we'll see who he's going to take.
I don't want to take him here, but I know he's going to get picked earlier than I want to. So either I get on board or I get off the train. I'm going to take
Mason McTavish. Oh, Demidov.
Ivan Demidov here. He is ranked 146, which is very, very generous, but the upside is there.
State of Survival says, I don't think Schaefer's playing this year. That's last time I checked, it's up to him to earn the spot. He's not guaranteed. I mean, listen, with defensemen, it's a little bit different than a top overall forward to, as in terms of, let me make my pick here before things go crazy. All right. You know what? Give me Thatcher Demko as my third goalie. And so much many defensemen have gone. I'm going to wait on that. I'm looking at the available forwards here. Mason McTavish, give me on visit the year in Anaheim. Why not? Give me that. He's my third center now.
I mean, if he doesn't play in Long Island, we're like, who's taking the spot though?
That's the thing. Like, he would really have to have a miserable camp or something like that for him to not make. Again, they're going to shelter his minutes. They're going to put him on the third pairing. They'll let him run the power play if he makes the team, even if they start him on the second unit and let him work his way up. But what are the Islanders playing for this year? It's not like he could potentially cost them a deep playoff run. Again, I know you have to be a little more cautious with defensemen versus a forward in terms of them playing their first year, but he is a top overall pick for a reason. Aaron Ekblad did it, didn't he?
It's true. Aaron Ekblad did do it, and it wasn't terrible.
So after McTavish, Nazem Kadri, Brock Nelson, Karel Vejmelka, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Alex Lafreniere. Chris has been all over him, but he knows he can't wait past the 13th round in this one. Jake Wallman.
Round two, average his ranking is 213 for Lafreniere. How the mighty have fallen.
If there's another bounce back candidate, born again wing, bow. That would be Lafreniere. Jake Wallman, Dylan Strome, Brent Burns, Sam Bennett, Mark Stone, Adam Fantilli, Will Smith. That one hurts. Andre Kopitar, Patrick Kane, Cam Fowler, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Gabriel Landeskog takes us all the way through pick 162. Chris Txiv Williams. Don't I can wait on him. Aaron Ekblad.
I have 4 Minnesota Wild players. I have their whole top power play unit.
All right, I'm not waiting anymore on defensemen. And listen, we can poop on the stat all we want, but it's relevant at least in this mock. Plus minus, give me Gustav Forsling as my 4th defenseman. I'll certainly take that. I'm gonna have to take another defenseman here as we get towards the end of the draft. Let's see. I like to have a bench guy. I like to have a guy who can rotate in and out, and I don't want to wait on it. Give me Philip Hronek. To play in the top pairing, you get your hits, get you a nice, well-rounded player there. Ooh, Owen Tippett. That was the guy I wanted and forgot about. That bad job by me. Very bad job by me. I should have taken him with one of those picks. Damn it, Travis. But hey, this is why you practice, right? This is why you do the mock.
You were too excited about taking back-to-back defensemen.
Yeah, I was. I should have, you know what? After the way defenseman went, I should have said, screw it. Well, there goes Thomas Shabbat, so maybe my instinct is off. But, so what do I got? I got 2 centers, 3 centers, 4. I got 5 centers. I don't need to take a center with my list. Jeez, look at all those defensemen going. I mean, listen, Hannafin, Ekholm, there's still quality on the board here to round out either your 4th or bench spot. There goes Cole Perfetti, Jet Greaves, Chris Kreider, Darren McCann, as we almost round up round 15 here and enter the last round of the 16-round draft here. It's been fun. Get this one under the books. I got 1, 2 left wing eligible players and 1, 2, 3, 4 right wing. So I have to take a left wing on my last pick just for roster balance and options. So it's going to handcuff me a little bit, but there's still some decent options there that I wouldn't be too upset to get. See what happens there. But Freddie Anderson closes out round 15. Patrick Laine opens up this round 16 with Lucas Dostal and Morgan Riley. Just about a few more picks to go. Kent Johnson, Justin Falk. Chris going to come back on the clock here in a minute after Jason makes his final pick. He took Joey DeCord last round. Marek wants to know, is there drafts that you avoid or settings in those drafts you avoid? Well, obviously
minus.
We take plus minus off in leagues that we have control of the settings. There goes Rasmus Anderson. Certainly not. Yeah, I could have waited on defense and gotten Owen Tippett there and taken whatever fell to me. I understand I'm nitpicking here in the round 15, but still. There goes Sean Dursey, Chris Letang. Yeah, geez, people filling out their defensemen here. Anders Lee, Sam Rinzel, Mike Matheson, and Boone Jenner, Mikhail Granlund, Evander Kane, Jake DeBrusk. You know what? Give me Arturi Lehkonen, shorthanded point guy. As my last pick, why not? I needed a left wing eligible guy. But there we go. So let's do a quick review of our teams. Let me answer Marek's question first. We said plus minus. I don't like to get too crazy with like X premium leagues. We'll say wins are worth 10 points for a goalie in some leagues because like sometimes it's fun to skew the stats that way. Sometimes it just doesn't make things true. But I'm a fantasy hockey junkie. I'll play almost any settings you give me. So first up here, let's take a look at Anthony's team. And walk us through. You don't got to go pick by pick, but who are you most happy to get, and who are you maybe kind of settled into?
Definitely happy to get Hischier here. I know he had a pretty big season last year at center. I always at least like to have one devil. I was not going to be going after Jack Hughes because he can't stay healthy, so I didn't want that to saddle my team if he can't keep himself healthy. I'm actually very happy with the goalies. Like I always say, I always like to go for the tandems, but to get a top guy in Vasilevsky and Gustafsson, I really like that. And then I got Vijmelka also from Utah, so he can get a couple of good starts in there as well. Morrissey, my thing was making sure that there was dual eligibility for most of my positions, and I got that. Clayton Keller, Tomas Hertl, who had a big season for me last year, so I'm kind of banking off of him having another big season with Vegas. Svechnikov from Carolina I like, and obviously I took Toffoli as well, as he could do that, and he'll score some goals. And the defense, maybe I'm not as happy about, but Morrissey and Sanderson at the top there, I'm good with, and Lacombe, Parayko. I say it's a pretty decent team.
Listen, Anders Lee in the 16th round. I mean, listen, somebody has to put the puck in the net for the Islanders,
Absolutely.
and he's been that guy. So I think it's a solid draft top to bottom, especially your first one for the year, at least that I know of, or at least first one with us. And yeah, you get Nico Hischier. He's going to be on the second line, so maybe he gets away from Jack Hughes. Now, before we talk about Chris's team, Jack Hughes goes 210, so one pick after you take Vasilevsky. Where does Jack Hughes fall to you in what round where you're like, all right, I'll take him now, where you're not concerned about the injury anymore? Is that as early as the third round, or like you really need for him to somehow fall into a fourth or fifth round, which is not going to happen, but you're muted.
I think so. I went under the impression that I was just not going to draft him this year because every year he's been drafted, he just gets hurt. I need to see him stay healthy, at least a season, before I start thinking about drafting him again. It's it's for the same thing for the Devils too. Like their whole team is based on if Jack Hughes is going to be playing and if he can deliver for them. And I don't know. I just don't want to take that risk with Hughes again this year. There's just better options to me.
I think this guy's a Devils fan. He took Hughes, Jesper Bratt, Luke Hughes, Jake Allen, so maybe a little bit. Now, Chris picking in smack in the middle of the round with the 6th overall pick. Listen, we all know you love to get Kaprizov there. You felt forced to take Ottinger there to a degree. You get Boldy. We talked about Thompson and Caulfield. Take me home from there, though.
I mean, you need guys who could score. I clearly focused on that early, with the exception of Ottinger, I felt like that was a good spot where I should take him. Tage Thompson's dual position eligibility. Cole Cosman. Roman Josi is there. He's my first defenseman at pick 6. As you can see, there's kind of that gap in the middle. There's a couple of guys are going, and then I felt like I needed one. I was set in round 6 to take one. It was Josi or Harley, whichever one was coming back to me. Those were the two that I wanted. Michkov has the offensive upside. Elias Pettersson is like, I know that it's not great. He's probably not 100-point player, but if I could get a point per game production out of him in round 8 in a 12-team league, I'll take it. We'll go down that path. Dylan Gunther, I expect him to take another step. Utah's a great team. They're going to be good offensively. Stuart Skinner is there. I need a goalie. So I'm just hoping he can, keep the net. Joel Eriksson Ek, why not, right? Everybody needs a third Minnesota player. Demidov is right there. I was hoping he maybe wouldn't, but I saw where he was going right now, and I saw he was in the player list. He was actually rated higher than Lafreniere. So I took Demidov there. It still took Lafreniere because somebody's got to be on the power play. And then I needed defenseman because I realized I had only one, and I had 3 spots that I needed to fill. So I quietly took Bouillon there. A little bit more of a risk here just because, he's a kid. Minnesota didn't have a great power play, but I'm hoping he could take that spot from Faber and nobody else takes it from him. Noah Hannafin is going to be there. The loss of Pietrangelo, I think, means that Hannafin's going to be counted more on this coming season. It's probably Shea Theodore is going to get the top spot, but if he can, contribute and, I don't know, pick up 50 points, that'd be great. Sean Dursey, I need somebody who can, block shots or something happens to Sergachev.
Yeah.
He's there. He's a player who can contribute. There were a lot of defensemen. I didn't think as many would go in those last 3 rounds. I waited till the end to draft some defensemen because I probably should have done that differently. But I was like, hey, I'll start here. And then, it's just green everywhere. And I mean,
hold on, you were trying to zag when everybody else was zigging, and usually that works to a degree, but then it just it got
I
too
ran out of
unhandsy.
time. It's just
Yeah.
right. It's all about the value, right? I felt there was good value in taking Joel Eriksson Ek where he was. I felt like there was good value in taking Ivan Demidov exactly where he was. The same thing with Lex Lafreniere. Like I can't find those players later on in the draft, right? Or at least I didn't feel like. I feel like I could find guys like Dursey and Bouillon maybe on the waiver wire, depending on, what happens to start the year. There's always guys who kind of pop off, but I can't find top 6 players on teams that are going to be offensive. So that was the upside that I was willing to take.
All right, well, I think you did all right considering that you were kind of forced to just wait till the end. You still got some decent defensemen there to round it out. And like you said, the cost, the guys you got in lieu of that make a lot of sense. Now, looking at my team, picking first overall, I open with the Oilers stack there, McDavid, Bouchard, and I get Shesterkin, Kempe, Connor Bedard. I'm sitting pretty here through my first 5. I can't complain, especially with the Bedard having right wing eligibility. That changes things entirely. I don't think he's going to be waiting. I don't know if I'm going to get him in the open the 5th round again in any mocks. He's probably going to start. I'm not saying he's going to go first 2 rounds because people have cooled off on him to a degree, but I think if you wait till the 4th round, you might be disappointed. He's a guy that you probably got to grab somewhere in the 3rd round as hockey season moves along. Needed to get a second defenseman there because I like to have my first 2 locked up. Shea Theodore, and again, got forced into it because okay, fine. I took Bouchard. There goes Darlene, Morrissey, then nobody for a little while. Then Hudson, Hedman, Fox, hunky dory, no defenseman, and then bam, 6th round, just all of a sudden started to go. I had to take Theodore there. Again, I spoke earlier maybe that I wanted Nyes over Tavares, but I'm still happy with getting Tavares there. Sergachev, again, with the way defensemen were going, I felt like if I'm going to be forced to take him a defenseman earlier than I want, but there's a guy I like at that spot, and fine, I'll do it. Binnington, made my case for him earlier in the show. Go back and listen to that. Zach Hyman there at that point. If I've bought into Edmonton, maybe if I had, I'm not going to take maybe 3 Edmonton forwards, but to have Bouchard, Hyman, and McDavid certainly spread out the right way. Buchnevich with his position eligibility. I know Thatcher Demko gets hurt, but listen, he plays well, and as a third goalie, sure, why not? Mason McTavish there, getting him. I don't think he's going to wait till the 13th round in many drafts. I discussed my Forsling Hronek. I should have taken one and then tip it out the other. But getting Arturi Lehkonen in my last pick there, certainly, that made me feel a lot better about the way the draft went overall. Even though, listen, you could get nitpicky about your last pick, but this was as competitive as a mock draft as we've had in a long time here.
Listen, if your worst pick is your last pick, I think you know what I mean? I think you've been doing just fine.
All right, folks. Thank you for watching Total Hockey Now. You can follow us on YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, all that good stuff. Other shows right now, Rip and Riff in hiatus. So is the Slapshot podcast. Both will be coming back in the near future. The one that's been ripping and burning hot, the Subway to Shea podcast there at Subway to Shea. What's coming up on the next one, Ant?
Well, the Mets are in there.
Says it all.
That's it right there.
They are in a slump, if you could ever say so. Just like the I don't know, New York baseball is just not having a good time. It's like New York football all over again right now.
Cool.
So we're trying to navigate and keep everyone calm through what's been going on here, but the Mets aren't helping. So it's fun times.
Are we worried about missing the wild card spot? I know the division is fading with the way Philly's playing, but
honestly, yeah, because our rotation is not great right now. And if you can't have a pitcher go, I like to have a pitcher go 6 innings. Can't even have that. Can't even going 4 innings. So if we can't have that and you're doing bullpen games every night, it's not a good recipe for success.
I feel like the Mets are the Leafs of baseball. Like we're at this point now where like they've struggled a little bit. Reality's starting to hit, and then if it all goes south, we'll hear about it over the winter about how we should trade everybody.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If you wanted a good pulse of the Mets fan base, Anthony's reaction after I said what's coming up on Subway to Shea, perfect. That's the temp check right there. Oh boy, good stuff. That was fun. I enjoyed that, and it was good to have you back, man. I know it's been busy, but very good to have you here as always, taking part in the mock drafts and Total Hockey Now.
I enjoyed it.
There we go. Folks, you can always go back and watch this stuff later. But for my good friends here, my line mates, at Fuzzy Chris 91 and at Ant Rivera 86, I am Pucking Thoughts, Adam Bernard. Back with you next week with another mock draft, and we'll do some more point totals here on Total Hockey Now. Thank you, folks.